Thank you for turning to page 121. Had a little scheduling error on my part. The staff screwed it up, the staff of course being me. Yesterday's video on Explode Stools should have been the second in this set. This is going to be Monster Week, AD&D Monster Week on my channel. I'm going to just take a look at 5 different creatures for use in any AD&D game from possibly many sources. I haven't filled out all 5 yet. But this intro is supposed to be on Monday's video, so it's here Tuesday. Don't worry, everything else, Traveler, Gamma World, Silent Death, they're all coming back. It's just that this week I've really been in a monster kind of mood for reasons I'll explain in the future on the channel, and I thought I'd go ahead and indulge it. So please enjoy. We've got this one today, plus 3 others to follow, celebrating Monster Week on page 121. Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to jump into the Monstrous Compendium. You see volume 2, but I've actually just kind of mixed them up. But the Monstrous Compendium for 2nd edition AD&D, these were published in about 1989, thereabouts, 90. And then they went through about 93. Today we're going to jump to the Ravenloft Appendix, and we're going to look at Vampire Elf. Elven vampires, dun 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 dun. These guys are cool. I really enjoy them. I've used them in my game a few times. They're a great Walpurgis monster. If you're not familiar with Walpurgis, it's the annual Halloween game I do, where I kill the players and nothing counts, but it's kind of fun too. I have to be innovative in how I kill the players, and the players have to try to survive. It's a lot of fun. It's a tradition I've been doing since 1982. I haven't gotten it every year, but very close. And my players really look forward to it. So, elf vampires. What the heck is going on here? So they're very rare. Solitary. Active cycle is day. Genius, level, intelligence, lawful, evil. Number appearing 1, armor class 2, 7+3 hit dice. Number of attacks 1, 1 die 4, or by weapon plus strength bonus. Special attacks see below, special defense see below. They are medium. They have no magic resistance. The Elvish Vampire is a tragic creature indeed. For when someone from a race who loves life and goodness turns to evil, the world has lost much. The evil that lurks within the Elven Vampire is so overwhelming that it forces the creature to transform the vital living forest around him into places of death and decay. Unlike all other types of vampire, the Elvish variety cannot move among others of its kind freely. The evil that has twisted the creature's spirit has wrought havoc on its fair features. Thus, Elvish vampires prove twisted and scarred mockeries of the beautiful and graceful race. Because of this, they often dress in dark robes and wear garments designed to hide their appearance from the world. Elven vampires tend to speak their own language and a handful of others, whatever they have learned in life. It is rumored, and there is much evidence to support this, that they can converse with the animals of the forest and learn from them all that is occurring in their realms. Oh, combat. When they engage in melee combat, Elvish vampires are very dangerous opponents. They do not have the same physical strength of other vampires. Their strength is an 1801, which is a +1 to all to hit rolls and +3 on damage rolls. They will often employ weapons in combat, favoring swords and daggers above all others. Elvish vampires retain the knowledge they had in life, including their racial, class, and magical bonus. Thus, all Elven vampires have an extra +1 bonus to attack rolls with a longsword or bow, and can move silently when not in metal armor and see fully 60 feet with keen infravision. Furthermore, they remain able to detect secret and concealed doors with great skill, and often employ this ability to gain entrance to places where their prey might be hiding. Elvish vampires are also master archers and will employ all manners of bows in combat. Their undead status removes from them the disrupting effects of breathing, muscle fatigue, and heartbeats, and allows the vampire +4 bonus on all missile attack rolls. The arrows these foul creatures employ are almost always carved from bones of living, intelligent creatures, and they may, 20% chance, be magical in some way. Elvish vampires feed by drawing the vital, creative energies out of their prey. Any successful unarmed melee combat allows the vampire to drain 2 charisma points from its victim. The resulting lack of vibrancy and personal leadership ability is also accompanied by a wicked-looking scar that will never leave the body of the victim. A victim of several blows from such a creature may well become so horribly scarred as to be unrecognizable to all but his closest friends. Any elf or half-elf who dies from the vampire's essence-draining attack will become a vampire as described. It is described in ecology. And now, ecology. Those who see the scarred and twisted face of the elvish vampire must save risk paralysis or be unable to move until 1d4 rounds after they've lost sight of the vampire. If the saving throw attempt results in a natural 1, the character is instantly stricken dead. Those who die in this way will not become vampires and may be resurrected normally. Elven vampires may be struck only by +1 or better weapons. All lesser arms will not bite the creature, but will pass through as though the monster were not there. Even those weapons that harm the vampire may not be strong enough to destroy it, for the creature regenerates 2 hit points per combat round. All manner of sleep, charm, hold, or similar magic spells will not affect the vampire. Likewise, the creature cannot be harmed by poisons, toxins, or diseases, for it is no longer a living thing. Magical spells that inflict damage with fire and cold will do only half damage to the vampire, but those employing lightning or electricity will do full damage. A vampire driven to 0 hit points is not destroyed, but is forced to flee the combat at once using its transport via plants ability to enter a nearby plant and escape its enemies. If the vampire cannot do this within 2 combat rounds, its body will crumble into dust and it will be forever destroyed. At will, the elvish vampire can make use of a power almost identical to the transport via plant spell. With this power, the vampire may simply walk into any man-sized or larger plant and walk out of another plant of the same type, anywhere across the world. In Ravenloft, it cannot use this power to cross domain borders or leave the demi-plane itself. As soon as the vampires use this power, both the plants involved are killed. Within a week, they will lose all their limbs and begin to dry out. Within a month, they will be fragile and unsafe to climb, finally collapsing and crumbling under their own weight. Unlike the transport via plant spell, the vampire's ability has no chance of error. Otherwise, the spell works just like is described in the player's handbook. An elvish vampire may, at will, assume the form of a wild eagle. In this guise, it retains all the natural vampiric powers, immunities, and vulnerabilities, but have the characteristics listed for such creatures in the Monstrous Compendium. Once per week, it may take the form of a giant eagle, again conforming to the creature of the Monstrous Compendium. Elven vampires command the creatures of the forest to come to their aid when they are in peril. As a rule, they'll call upon wolves, birds of prey, or small mammals like badgers, porcupines, and the like. In all cases, the animals arrive within 1d6 turns, will remain with the vampire until dismissed. Elvish vampires have a number of natural abilities that make them very dangerous in their natural environment. At will, they can pass without trace or become invisible to animals. They seldom use letter power, however, for they can command any creature of the forest to obey them as described above. 3 times a day, they may employ the following spell-like abilities: Entangle, Warp Wood, Snare, Spike Growth, and Anti-Animal Shell. Once per day, they may create a wall of thorns, change sticks to snakes, and manifest a giant insect. Sunlight does not harm the elvish vampire. In fact, they live their own lives by day and shun the night. As soon as the sun falls below the horizon, the elvish vampire must be in his coffin. Each round the monster lingers outside after sunset, inflicts 1d4 points of damage, ultimately killing the creature. An elven vampire that dies in this manner is forever dead. The cruelest card that fate has played in the elvish vampire is that of its black thumb. Any plant it touches withers and dies. Which is kind of neat because they can really corrupt their forest. Although the powers of the elvish vampire are many and varied, they are not without weaknesses. Like all vampires, they can be turned by priests or paladins with the courage to do so. In fact, the elvish vampire's link to the negative plane is not as strong as other vampires, causing it to be turned as if it were a specter instead of a vampire. Elvish vampires can travel beneath the Earth's surface only at great physical risk to themselves. For each round spent in such a setting, the creature must suffer 1d4 points of damage, as if it were moving about after nightfall. Further, the creature cannot regenerate, employ, or any magical abilities while underground. If the vampire dies or reduced to 0 hit points while underground, it is destroyed. An elven vampire is unaffected by holy water, but can be burned by contact from sap from any deciduous tree. If the sap is fresh, drawn within the last 6 hours, it may be smeared on the vampire with a successful attack roll. As soon as it hits the creature's skin, it causes the vampire extreme pain and inflicts 2d4 points of damage. Elven vampires cannot be held at bay by mirrors, holy symbols, or garlic, but cannot cross a line of flower petals. The petals must be fairly fresh, 24 hours old, and the line must be unbroken. Destroying an elvish vampire is difficult as destroying any other vampire, for they are crafty and deadly foes. The surest way to accomplish this feat, however, is to impale the creature with a charcoal stake. In order to be effective, the stake must be driven through the creature's heart with a single blow from a wooden mallet. If the victim is incapacitated in some way, this does not normally present a problem, but the combat is almost impossible to accomplish staking it. While a charcoal stake through the heart will kill the creature, it will rise again as soon as the stake is removed, unless the vampire's head is cut off and burned in a fire made of flowers and flowering shrubs. In order to completely destroy the skull and brain, it's vital for the destruction of the vampire. The fire must burn for no less than 24 hours. And then we got to look at their habitat. They despise the living world and all that they've left behind. The sight of thriving woods and blooming flowers that once thrilled them now replaced by hatred of all things vital and fair. Theirs inhabit and reflect this with all the diseased trees, dying plants, and infertile soil. No attempt to raise crops or cultivate the land near an elvish vampire's lair will be tolerated by the creature. As time goes, the elvish vampire can become even more powerful than they are initially. The following table lists the modifications associated with aging of the monster. So, ages 0 to 99, there's 7 plus 3 hit dice, plus 1 weapon to be hit, plus 4 with bows, no magic resistance. 100 to 199, 8 plus 2 hit dice, plus 1 to hit, plus 4 with bows, 5% magic resistance. 200 to 299, 9 plus 1 hit dice, plus 1 to hit weapon needed, plus 5 with bows, 5% magic resistance. 300 to 399, they gain 10 hit dice, they're plus 2 to hit, and plus 5 with bows, or plus 2 weapon rather to be hit, plus 5 bows and a 10% magic resistance. 400 to 499, 11 hit dice, plus 2 weapon needed to hit them, plus 6 with a bow, 15% spell or magic resistance. And 500 and over, they are 12 hit dice. They need a plus 3 weapon or better to be hit. They are plus 6 with bows and 25% magic resistance. Like all undead, the elven vampire is not part of the living world. It has no place in the land of the living, and knowing this, seeks to corrupt or destroy all that it encounters. Because of this, even the dreaded drow fear these creatures greatly. Any elf or half-elf who falls to the essence-draining attack of an elven vampire will rise again as an elven vampire so long as the body is intact after 3 days. If the body has been destroyed or mutilated, the transformation is averted and the dead character may rest in peace. However, any attempt to revive the slain character with a resurrection spell, for example, has a flat 50% chance of transforming the creature into a vampire once the spell is cast. That's kind of neat. I like that. Lots going on here. First off, I love elf vampires. And you say, oh, they don't drain energy levels, they only drain charisma. Who cares? Well, first off, they take 2 points of charisma. Second off, there's not much in AD&D, first or second edition, that actually protects you against a charisma drain. You would need an amulet of the Cairn Hills and a successful saving throw to protect you from this power. There's 1 or 2 other minor things, but that's the most common thing. A Scarab of Protection will not protect you from this. Scarab of Protection only works against energy drain. And the charisma thing doesn't sound too bad until you start talking about scarring. And considering that, at least at my table, charisma is almost always a dump stat, that can be a problem fast. We have characters, 8, 9 charisma because the player put their worst stat there. Now you're losing 2 points to the touch of an elf and you're gaining a nasty scar. Or elven vampire, rather. You're gaining a nasty scar. The idea that you're losing the charisma, I think, is great. I think it fits beautifully with the elven vampire character, or creature, and can make them especially deadly. Now, to be fair to my players, I do allow a restoration spell to restore 1 point of charisma per restoration cast on the target. So I do let them have a means to get it back, but it's expensive. Restoration, I think I haven't looked it up, but I think it's 50,000 gold pieces each casting. So 2 points of charisma is 100,000. And there's no other real way short of a wish to get these stats back. So it's kind of nasty, and that's one of the reasons I like it. I like its whole nature, anti-nature, the way it exists. I like the plus 4 to hit with the bow. Give it a nice magic arrow and maybe some bones, arrows that are, I don't know, slaying. And you've got an incredibly formidable, deadly creature. Now, before you get all mad at me and say, wait, that's unfair, arrows of slaying, that is one of my Valpurgis kills with this creature. He came out with this plus 4 bow and plus 3 arrow of slaying. and he would be then +4 for the bow itself, or +4 for his chance to hit, rather. +3 for the arrow is +7, and then +1 more for being an elf. So it's +8. That's even if I don't give him dexterity bonuses, which I probably would. So we're looking at a creature that can hit you on maybe a 10. And then it's an arrow of slaying. Now you're going to fall over. Again, that's a Walpurgis kill. If you want to use it in your game, go nuts. I don't use it in my ordinary campaign simply because it's kind of a chump kill, but that's what Walpurgis is all about. But I really enjoy the elf vampire. I love the anti-nature nature of these creatures. I love their defenses. I like that they're actually weaker than your standard vampire by less hit dice, and that they're only working in the day. They're diurnal. That's really cool. So here you meet this hooded character out in the middle of the woods. You're not thinking vampire. You're thinking wizard or druid or anything but vampire. And then bam. I also allow, by the way, the elf vampire, since it can retain all its knowledge from its former craft or class. If he was a magic user in life, he's a magic user in undeath. So an elven vampire magic user is incredibly formidable, especially outside. You're in daylight. It can really throw the players for a loop to be fighting a vampire in broad daylight, and especially with a creature that can only exist in broad daylight. So that's it. I know it's Ravenloft. I know it's second edition. I don't care. A good monster is a good monster. I really enjoy the Ravenloft vampires. I may take a look at one or two more before the end of this week of monsters. But that's all I've got to say today on page 121. I hope you enjoyed what you heard and saw. If you did, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. I'd like to get subscriptions going again. It's really, really dropped down. I'm not sure why. I also take a look at the Patreon, see if you can help me out there. And that's all I've got today from page 121. Thank you for your time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.